Do you know who you're becoming? Do you know who you want to become? These are the big questions. These are the big questions of life. That was Patrick Bet David. I dropped that in the chat. Uh, he actually has a longer video on his value tainment, I think, with that same talk, or like the beginning part of that talk. But either way, understanding the key points to what Patrick Bet David just talked about. How well do you understand what or who, excuse me, you want to become? Like how well do you know who you want to become? Like who you're striving to be. When I talk about the highest, grandest expression of yourself, the best version of yourself, the future, like do you have a clear picture of who that man or woman is? Like not again, not just what you do for work, but like who you are, what types of values you have, where your time is spent, who you're surrounded by, the life you want with your children, the life you want with your family. Yes, what financial life you have, how much money, right? How much is in the bank? How much comes in? What do you view life as this is who I'm becoming? Like, is that how we think of it? Because I would encourage you to, because it's easy to get distracted. It's easy to get distracted. It's the other thing that he said, right? We touch our phone, he said 150 times a day, probably, possibly, right? But we're taking in information and we're taking in all these things that, what do I say? They distract us. We're over here looking at this on Instagram, over here looking at this on TikTok, over here looking at the news, over here seeing this on YouTube, over here looking at our friend, over here looking at our coworker, looking at our family member, looking at this thing that just happened in current events, looking at sports. Like we're always just all over in our mind, and we don't actually sit down to take time to say, like, where are we going? Who are we becoming? Who do we want to be? What type of life do we want to experience? Because whatever it is, whatever life we're trying to experience, we can go get it. I love the point that he made about the start stop. You know, that is the number one reason. I don't know if it's number one. It's probably top two, top three reasons why people don't make it as an entrepreneur or in much of anything is because of our start stop nature. Like he said, and many of you have gone through this. I've gone through it. It's just I've learned how to get out of it because I continue to build the momentum to keep moving. But at the end of the day, when we come into business or you're starting something new, that's what happens. You get excited, you're emotional, you say, this is the way I'm going, things look good, then the enemy hits you, and then you stop. And then it depends how long you stay down. Depends how long you don't come back around. Like it just depends. For some people, it's a month, 2 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years. It just depends. And then we get started again. And then we give it an effort. And guess what we do? We stop. Life happens to us. Family happens to us. Tragedy happens to us. Sickness happens to us. Financial things happen. And we stop. That's just the enemy. Just so you know, because what Patrick Bet David said is what gets us to the place is the ability to not stop. Just keep going. It's okay to slow down, but never stop. See, sometimes we stop our progress, we stop our momentum because life gets hard. That's what these calls are for. I'm trying to teach you and train you how to think about life differently. So when life gets hard, you don't stop your momentum. That's how we get to that life. It's by whatever starts happening around you, you got to be secure inside of you to know I'm going to keep going. Man, this might have hurt. This might have been a tragedy. I might have to slow down, but I never take my foot completely off the gas. My foot never comes off the gas as an entrepreneur. It never does. It might not be full throttle all the way down sometimes, but it's never completely off. That's a mindset, y'all. That's a mindset that we have to have. That you never take your foot off the gas, that you can't start and stop consistently in life and then think you're going to get to where you want to go. He said the biggest dreams, I say it a different way, right? Big dreams take big patience, right? Or the bigger your ambition, the equal level of patience you have to have. So just like he said, you want to be a billionaire. You want to be, right? There's 8 billion people on the planet. There's only like 1,000 billionaires, right? So I don't know what percentage that is, right? But either way, you want to be a billionaire, you want to be in the top 0.001%. Well, you have to have extreme patience in order to do that. Meaning, like he said, you might have to go on a 30-year run without stopping. What is it like to go on a 30-year run? Not a just like I skate by and I make it 30 years. Like I'm focused, I have a vision, I'm doing all these things for 30 years to get to billionaire status. Oh, high ambition, high patience. Maybe you only want to be a millionaire, right? So maybe you got to go 10 years, like he said. If that's your level of ambition, you need a level of patience that's going to get you to a millionaire. This is what a lot of people are lacking. They're lacking both, right? The tension between the ambition and their patience, or how long they have to do something without stopping. We stop things after 3 months if it doesn't go the way we want to. We stop things after 6 months if it doesn't go the way we want to. We stop things after a year. Look at all the people getting divorced. We stop marriages after 5 years because it just didn't go the way we wanted to. It's a habit. It's a trait. It's not the trait of the world class, right? It's trait of average, trait of middle class, right? Like, so we have to get better. And all of that being said, the number one thing he talked about at the very beginning was having a sense of urgency. We got to know that like we only get one life. And normally our sense of urgency comes after we have tragedy, after we hit a rock bottom, after something crazy happens in our life and we need to figure out how to bounce back. That's when we get a sense of urgency. I heard somebody say this, I don't know, somebody got in an accident on their deathbed, and after they got up is when they said their life really started. It took for them to be on their deathbed. It took for them to be in an accident, to almost not be here, to then appreciate that they only get one of these. And so then their life started. How many of us operate that way? How many of us have to operate from, well, let's just wait until the really bad thing happens for us to wake up and be like, man, I don't have long here. I should probably do something with my life. Got to have a sense of urgency. This is what determines, again, hunger, right? How urgent are you about things? How quickly do you want to get things done? You heard Patrick Bet-David say that, like, if you're hungry, if you have a sense of urgency, you want to learn something, you get it done today. You get the course today. You call the person today. There's a question you have, there's information you need, you get that now. You don't wait till tomorrow. You don't wait till after the holiday. You don't wait, like you're not hungry if we're waiting for that. So to be great, to be world class, you got to have a sense of urgency. Here's what it says in the text. It says middle class performers operate like there's an endless amount of time in a day, week, month, year, and life. The world class is extremely sensitive to time. The great ones have a sense of urgency because they are operating at a level of awareness that constantly reminds them the present moment is all any of us really have. The world class is on a mission to fulfill a dream, and they know the clock is ticking. The only time amateur performers develop a sense of urgency is toward the end of the day, week, or before they go on vacation. Imagine if they channel that same energy, enthusiasm, and focus into their everyday performance. Worldwide productivity would probably triple in one day. Professional performers constantly remind themselves that life is short, and if they are going to make something happen, now is the time. This thought process makes the middle class uncomfortable. Remember, they prefer to operate in a state of mild delusion. Knowing the clock is ticking and none of us know how much time we have left is too uncomfortable for emotional amateurs. For pros who operate from objective reality, it's a primary motivating force. It's one of the reasons the great ones tend to pursue large, magnificent visions. They know their time on earth is limited and they want to leave a legacy. Their sense of urgency goes back to the beginning of the mental toughness process, clearly defining what you want. Say that again. Their sense of urgency goes back to the beginning of the mental toughness process, which is clearly defining what you want. What do you have a sense of urgency to do? If you know the answer, you can implement this world-class philosophy immediately. If not, make it your mission to discover the embers that burn within your soul and focus that passion on what you really want. Don't stop until you find it. When you do, create a sense of urgency to act on it now. Don't hesitate. Pursue your dream boldly and fearlessly. It may be later than you think. You may have less time than you think. not to be a depressing message of like, I don't know when, or I don't want to think about death, or none. Just know we get one life and we're here for a window of time. So what is it that you want to make happen? Who do you want to become? What is your legacy? What is your vision? Your vision, what you have written down, the big, magnificent vision, the big thing. What is that? And if you find out that you really want that, you start to build a sense of urgency around going to get it. You start to build a sense of urgency around going to get it. I sit down with a lot of younger people that think they have a sense of urgency because they think they're behind in life. I don't know where they got I kind of guess, right? Instagram and social media and right, all the stuff, the influences in life, right? Make people think they're behind other people, right? I sit down and talk with people all the time. I know nobody, everybody's in the same spot, right? So, I sit down with a lot of younger people, like the under 25s, the under 28s, right? And they across the board, many of them have this thing where it's like, I'm behind. Like, I'm not getting close enough to where I want to be. They have a sense of urgency, but they're not hungry because they also aren't doing enough. They have a sense, right, that they're behind, but then they aren't doing enough to get ahead. So that's mild delusion. That's what that is when we talk, when it says like the middle class has a mild delusion, they operate out of mild delusion. That's what it is. Mild delusion for younger people is thinking they're going to become a multimillionaire in the next year and they don't put in more than 10 hours of work a week. It's mild delusion. It's actually probably extreme delusion, but that's how people operate. So what do you need? You need to have a clear vision of where you're headed and who you want to become, and then get that sense of urgency to say, I got to make this thing happen. If I need an answer, I'm going to get it today. If I need to reach this person, I'm going to find out a way to get in touch with them today. If I need to learn this information, I'm going to sign up for the course today. I'm going to set the appointment today. It's a sense of urgency. Do it now. Do it now. Don't wait. The reason I can, that's in my master plan to energize and focus. In the business plan section, I have somewhere in there, because I have 30 different things, 32 different things in there. I have somewhere in here where it says, oh, here it is. Do it now. Don't wait. Do it now. I say that to myself over and over again. Why? To keep a sense of urgency. Don't wait. Do it now. Don't wait. Somebody calls, I need to follow up on something. Don't wait. Do it now. Don't wait, right? Just a sense of urgency helps you get to the life that you want. You got to create these things inside of yourself, ladies and gentlemen, so that you are not falling victim to middle class mindset, to average thinking, to people that just live with the status quo, that just get through day by day, right? How are things going? Oh, getting by, paying the bills. Like, no, that's not us. We're going to create a legacy. We have big, grandiose dreams, wishes, hopes, things that we want to see come to fruition in this world. So we have to have a sense of urgency of making that happen. We all get the same 168 hours in the week. Where do you spend yours? How urgent is it for you to get to your goals, or is it convenient? If you get there, great. If you don't, you're okay. I don't know that you're going to be able to get to that goal if it's not a burning desire that gives you that sense of urgency. Action step for today says to heighten your sense of urgency, do a little mathematical calculation. Based on statistics, the average man living in the 21st century will live 73 years, average woman 79 years based on your current age and statistics. How many days do you have left? You will live beyond this. Modern medicine, well, we hope, right? We pray that we all live beyond this, right? But modern medicine may have you living for a bit longer. But just imagine, I'm 38 years old. I have 12,000 days left on this earth if I live to age 73. I have 12,000 days left on this earth. Some of you, if you're 48, if you're a woman, you're 48, you got 11,000 days left on this earth, right? And again, these are calculations, but I just want you to calibrate and see, man, I don't have as long as I thought I did. Somebody said this online, right? If you really calculate how many times you're going to see your parents again, think about it. If your parents are right in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, who knows, right? But how often do you see them? You see your parents twice a year, 4 times a year. Some of you might more, right? I live with my mom, right? So like I see her more, but for many people, right? You might see them a couple times a year. So what if they only have another 10 years to go? That means you're going to see them another 30 times. You only get a chance to interact with your parents another 30 times in your life, 40 times in your life. When you put that into perspective, it could give you a sense of urgency if family is a high priority for you. It could give you a sense of urgency to be like, no, 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 we're doing that family reunion. We're getting together for the birthdays. We're not just showing up for the funerals. Like it'll give you a sense of urgency to move in that direction if family is a high value, high priority for you. So what if that's your health? So what if that's your finances? So what if that's your business? So what if that's your relationships? Do you have a sense of urgency because you see the vision, you know what you're trying to get to, and you know you don't have enough time? Or do we let these days pass casually and hope that one day we get to our destination? Les Brown said, casual people become casualties of life. Casual people become casualties of life. If you just go as the wind blows, as Napoleon Hill says, they call us drifters, just whichever way, however you feel, you want to get there, but you're just drifting, the likelihood of you getting there is very low, ladies and gentlemen. And that's not who we are. That's not who we are. We have to get to our goals, get to our dreams, get to the highest, grandest vision of ourselves. So in order to do that, we have to have a sense of urgency. In order to do that, you got to make sure that your vision is clear, that you know who you want to become. And then you have to understand that the sense of urgency that you have will help you get there faster. It will help you understand how to not start and stop. That's what we do too much of. We do too much starting and stopping. That's why we don't have the momentum to get to our goals. It takes momentum, like a snowball. You start, right, a snowball going down a hill, right? You push it, it starts picking up, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and starts moving faster and faster, and eventually you can't stop it. That's what momentum is. But your snowball is so small, and then you stop rolling it down the hill. And then it gets sunny. And then you got to wait for it to snow again. And then you got to start the process of making your snowball and pushing it down the hill, and then we stop again. Let's not make this our trait, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not make this our habit. Let's continue to go. Never take your foot off the gas in whatever areas you're trying to see success. Faith, family, business, health, wealth, right? Any other thing, like whatever it is, don't take your foot off the gas. Keep it going. Happy Wednesday, y'all. I love you guys. Enjoy your 4th. See you back here on Friday morning. Take care.